Thank you, Jen, Unity Church, and all the members for putting together this event. Yeah. Many stories, many voices, many ways to heal, which goes along beautifully with my personal path of interfaith ministry. I got to go through a journey of interfaith seminary in 2013 in New York City. It was a correspondence program, and I got to learn about all the different faiths, or at least a few of them. There's so many different faiths. So there's so many different ways to heal and to experience God and to experience love. But I personally believe that there's only one experience, one mind. So every person has a different way of going towards that one mind, or their direction of experiencing it. We have so many different ways of healing these days. I mean, there's all these different degrees out there. A whole health coach, there's Reiki, there's pranic healing, there's unity principles for healing. You can listen to podcasts about healing. There's just a traditional Christianity. There's the Kabbalah. There's just a vast array of ways to heal. And I got to experience even sacred geometry. Sit around and do these math equations to heal. And I did a dance with that and done a bunch of different things over the years. But I always keep going back to A Course in Miracles. That's my personal path. I don't see it as better than any other paths. I just feel like it speaks to my heart a little more than the others. That's all. So I'm going to talk about that right now. I'm going to talk about the Course and how I experienced healing through practicing A Course in Miracles. See, I always felt like an alien here on earth. When I came into this place, I felt disconnected to people, to the environment, to my school peers, everything. I just felt this loneliness. So I attempted to fill that loneliness through external means: drugs, alcohol, relationships, women, just preoccupied with working, certain knowledges that I wanted to understand about, life, academics. But it wasn't until I had an experience when I was 19 years old, this deeply peaceful experience, that I realized that all that was an illusion and false. And it was just me. That I had it inside me the whole time, and I was just looking outside of myself for things that didn't really exist out there, and they were all inside. So everything right now that we're learning about is really about focusing on now. What's going on now? This moment, as I'm talking, what's happening with you? Are you focused on your inner life? Are you focused on being healed, being who you really are? Maybe you're just already feeling healed. You don't need to understand anything. So just enjoy that. I was feeling that when I walked in here, but then some noise came up, and I'm glad that Christian did the meditation, so I got to refocus. And so we get these opportunities, and life's always teaching us about refocusing our attention on the inner. And that's what the Course in Miracles is about. It says that the kingdom of heaven is inside us, that there's nothing outside us at all. So there's no person, no thing, no object outside of us. Everything's contained within the one mind. Now, that seems insane to the ego. Well, there's bodies here. There's this pew, there's this church. That seems separate for me. But only using the physical eyes does it appear to be separate. When you start to experience spiritual sight, you see all of it is connected. You see the flows through it all. You see the energy. So Reiki practitioners, true Reiki practitioner, they're healed and they see the energy flows through everything. They don't see flaws and stuff. That's not what healing's about, is identifying with illusions and flaws and then trying to heal them. You just don't see them. That's true healing. So I'm going to talk about one of these passages in the Course in Miracles is about the Unhealed Healer. So this is an important subject now, because it seems as though anyone can just get some sort of degree and automatically be a healer. We can go to school, get educated, have this certificate, and then automatically you're a healer. Now, that journey to becoming a doctor or becoming a health coach may be very helpful to you, but it doesn't guarantee that you're going to be a healer. Ultimately, everyone's a healer. You were born as a healer. because you're a child of God. Simply, and everyone, it can equally heal anyone else. That's what the Course in Miracles says. A 2-year-old child can demonstrate the kingdom of heaven and heal someone that has a doctorate, just by their mere presence. They don't have to understand anything at all about the universe or academics or how healing occurs. They just need to trust in God. That's all that's required, is a trust in God and allowance of that love to flow through you. That's all. It's so simple. That's what the Course is saying. Okay? Now that's kind of threatening to some that have spent their whole lives studying healing. When simply all you got to do is just be still and go home. That's all. Right now. And then you're a healer. This is so simple that it gets missed. But I'm going to read a little bit about it because it's good to understand some of the ego's defense mechanisms on the way to experiencing healing, so you don't get distracted by them and listen to them. I read this part. I thought it was beautiful. Now, I identify with this strongly at times. My life. I look at my life and my experiences, and there's parts of my life that I don't live totally by this. I'm going to say that right now. There's times I go into fear. I have attack thoughts. I get angry. All those things. And I know that those are the parts of my mind that I need to address and I need to forgive and let go of. So, the unhealed healer is the ego's plan for forgiveness is far more widely used than God's. So, we'll say that again. That the ego's plan for forgiveness is far more widely used than God's. This is because it is undertaken by unhealed healers and is therefore of the ego. Let us consider the unhealed healer more carefully now. By definition, he is trying to give what he has not received. If an unhealed healer is a theologian, for example, he may begin with the premise, I'm a miserable sinner, and so are you. If he is a psychotherapist, he is more likely to start with the equally incredible belief that attack is real for both himself and the patient. But that does not matter for either of them. This is Jesus talking here. He says, I have repeatedly said that beliefs of the ego cannot be shared, and this is why they are unreal. How then can uncovering them make them real? Every healer who searches for fantasies for truth must be unhealed, because he does not know where to look for truth, and therefore does not have the answer to the problem of healing. Basically, what that's saying is that if I go to someone for healing and then they start talking to me about anger or fear or guilt or shame as like an identity, and you're making that real, and then they're saying, well, it's not important. Well, that starts off the premise of being unhealed. If you begin the whole thing about making sickness real and guilt real and shame real, and then you start to say it's unimportant and then you need to let it go, what sense does that make? You begin by focusing on the light, the kingdom. You begin by going into meditation, prayer. It isn't about analyzing darkness. Really, all sickness, all diseases, all that are man-made stories about them. Like pancreatitis. For instance, it's just the inflammation of the pancreas. That's all it is. That doesn't say anything about healing it or anything to cause or anything. It's just what it is. And it was a man-made word. Cardiomyopathy, enlargement of the heart. It occurs from high blood pressure, stress, cortisol levels. And actually, if you do studies and link all diseases to thought forms, they're created from thought. If you want to get into that, there's a lot of research out there about that, about how hormones are increased, and cortisol levels are risen, heart rate gets higher, sugar levels, all sorts of things occur under certain stresses. Fight or flight responses create illness, sickness, all sorts of things. And get your breathing up, you get anxious, sweaty, all those things. And so we just give them a name with our mind. That's all it is. Even the word God, that's a man-made name. God. Now, what it points to, the experience behind all the things, is a real thing. A real experience. The experience of love, the experience of peace, the experience of healing. Now, how we all approach that is so vast and it varies to every individual. There's 7 billion different ways of approaching healing. So it's important to honor your own path and not take on someone else's as your own. If you feel pressure into doing it or coerced or anything, it's not going to work. It's got to be voluntary. It's got to speak to you. Now, there's a difference between feeling pressure and coerced and resistance. Resistance and fear. Because I can feel, for instance, I was asked to start I'm going to go there, like a 12-step group here. And I've been asked to do that before. Now, in my heart, I want to do that. I want to start a 12-step group on universal addiction. Because I feel like there's this universal addiction to judgment. And I see it all the time. The constant analysis of things, and this insanity that's formed by everyone judging, and it's even called like wisdom at times by universities, having sophisticated judgments, and this addiction to it, and it separates us all. So I wanted to start a 12-step program on that, and include anyone that's struggling with addiction. But I go in my heart, it's just the time isn't right. The time isn't right for it. I'm not ready to do that quite yet. No, I want to do it. So I can feel the resistance in me from wanting to actually do it now. But then there's the timing as well. So I need to undo this resistance to it all. This fear, whatever it is. And we need to look at these fears we have, these resistance to creating something in our lives, and then the timing as well. There's a difference. So it's like understanding when the time is right to actually create these things, and then the resistance. And when I undo the resistance, the timing and all that other story about the energy, not having enough time, and all that other stuff, that starts to dissolve when I do that. And then I feel myself more and more open to doing these things. All right? This is very important, and you need to have discernment and understanding, your resistance, and then the timing of things. And that's why it's important to pray and to meditate, and not to trust our own understanding of stuff. Because our own knowledge and understanding of things is not going to lead us to God. It's not going to lead us to being healed. It's not going to lead us to love, our own understanding. There's a scripture about that, not to lean on your own understanding, but to have a renewal of your mind. I'm paraphrasing now. But another thing is that this is fun. The awakening, what I can demonstrate, and I know for myself, is that I have had fun on my journey. I've had a lot of fun in my awakening. The joy I feel from God is just amazing. I love it. And I can share that with you with certainty. Okay? Can I share with you with certainty that I'm feeling bliss all the time? No, because I'm not. But I feel so much joy and so much love for God that, I would, if anything was in the way of that, and I truly felt that, I'd let it go. I'd let it go. But now I'm able to transform things in my life that I feel like are challenges. We bought a house recently. It's a challenge. It's a lot of work and energy. But that's because I perceive it that way. Okay? I can change my mind about that. I can change my mind about my wife, my daughter, aggravating me, annoying me. I can change my mind about that if I want to. It's a choice to make. Anyone that's stirring up my emotional state and pissing me off or whatever it is, I have a choice of whether I get pissed off or not. Always. That's an absolute. Never at a time am I a victim of anything. Any story of a victim or any understanding that I've been assaulted or attacked or all that, I just look, what I do with that, a lot of times I look at Jesus. And I ask, did Jesus play the role of a victim? No. Was Jesus attacked, assaulted, all that? Yes. But did he play that role? No. He didn't take that on as himself. Course in Miracles talks about that a lot. And it's an extreme example of not accepting the world being the creation of your problem, the cause of your problem. And so that's what I look at. And it's very helpful. I'm going to read just a little more about this. The Unhealed Healer. It says, there is an advantage to bringing nightmares into awareness, but only to teach that they are not real, and that anything they contain is meaningless. The unhealed healer cannot do this because he does not believe it. All unhealed healers follow the ego's plan for forgiveness in one form or another. If they are theologians, they are likely to condemn themselves, teach condemnation, and advocate a fearful solution. Projecting condemnation onto God, they make him appear retaliative and fear his retribution. What they have done is merely to identify with the ego, and by perceiving what it does, condemn themselves because of this confusion. It is understandable that they have been revolted against this concept, but to revolt against it is still to believe in it. So another thing that I've experienced, and because I have a lot of young people coming to group on Thursday. I teach a class at the YMCA, and there's ages 16 to 25. A lot of them, actually, about half the class is that age. And there's probably between 10 to 15 people that come. Is that they're not buying into any of this fearful God story anymore. They're not buying into that, or that you have to go to church, or all that stuff to earn God's love. It's just not there, But instead, what has happened, even though they've experienced light, is they've almost rebelled against it. But which is no different. It's still an attack flag. Rebelling against traditions, rebelling against, all the things in the world. It's just another attack. So that needs healed. See, that's the ego's plan. If it doesn't like something, it'll rebel against it. If it doesn't like being told what to do, so it'll judge the person that's telling them what to do, which is the same thing. So they might as well just do it. The only way to really be healed is just to let it go and not be affected. Truly not be affected by the word, by whatever's happening to you. That's really how you heal it. It's like when I got healed by my alcoholism and drug addiction, I thought everyone else needed to follow the path I did. And I judged other people for drinking and doing drugs. So that was just the same thing, as I was just judging them and isolating them for others. It's like someone that gets saved, or if someone gets saved by the Course in Miracles, and you think, well, everyone needs to, using the Course in Miracles. No, that's just what worked for me. All right? So it's the same mechanism. The ego creeps in every door you're going down, on your path. Gets in there and tries to get people involved in your story and participate in it, but it can't share in that. See, that's the thing that we just read, is that we can't share an attack or the ego's plan. We can't share in dreams. Everyone's dream to God and their experience to God and their way of healing is different. All we can share is love. Love is formless. It cannot really be seen with the physical eye. It's something that's eternal. This body, it's going to die. So my physical eyes that are piercing out and looking at you cannot see God. Cannot see God. I need spiritual sight. I need a higher level of consciousness to feel God. And then I look out, and the same eye that's looking out there is the same eye of God. It's the same thing going on. There's no difference. So I look out and I see the sameness in everything. I see God in everything when I'm doing that. That's the third eye they talk about in the chakras, opening up that third eye. And that's what we want to do when we're healed. A true healer, that's all they've done. They are looking at the love and the beauty in everyone. That's all they're doing. They're not like analyzing a chakra that's in balance and then trying to balance it out. It's not what is occurring here. The healer has just accepted that they don't know. They don't know what other people's best interests are. They're just there as a channel. God, show me. I have no idea. All I want to do here is just feel love and be there for them. That's all. Now, there may be times where words will come up. You'll share something to someone about, maybe say, hey, you know what? It might be helpful to quit attacking your wife. It might be helpful to quit getting angry at your boss. Hey, it might be helpful to, take 10 minutes out at your workday when you're really stressed out and just pray. Do a practice in the Course. Take 10 minutes out. That's all. We need to do this. The Unhealed Healer is basically simply someone that isn't taking care of themselves, isn't doing their own work, isn't doing the mind training, isn't forgiving, isn't doing that's all that's occurring. And see that we're all healers. Ultimately, it's speaking to all of us. See, that it seems like that passage is only speaking to those that have taken on the role of being a healer, like in the world's eyes. Like, okay, they're going to be a minister or a nurse or a doctor or, a Reiki practitioner. No, it's speaking to everyone because everyone is a healer. Everyone is learning and teaching at the same time. We're all those things. We can't not be. Simply by us walking into a room and carrying a vibration of anxiety, that's what we're demonstrating to the world. If I walk into a room, say I walk into my family after work, I walk in there and I'm feeling real anxious, nervous, and scared about things, that's what I'm teaching. That's what I'm demonstrating to them. If I walk into there and I feel peace and love, that's what I'm teaching. That's what I'm demonstrating. And that's what it's talking about here. If I walk into a grocery store and I'm impatient, I'm like, man, this line needs to speed up. Gosh, there's so many lists of things on this list of groceries I need to get. I got to go down this aisle. I might run into that person. Whatever, your mind just goes there. That's what you're demonstrating. You're demonstrating stress, anxiety. If I walk in there and I just go with the flow, I allow the person in front of me to be as they are. I say, all right, one thing at a time. Okay, first I get the rice. Then I get the yogurt. It's simple, but this takes practice to do this. Sending out emails. Maybe we have a list of things that we need to do as far as sending out emails. We need to get back to you. I have phone calls to make. Maybe this is in our personal life, work life. One thing at a time. And I can do that totally peacefully. But I need to be healed up here first. I'm not automatically, again, going back, there's no guarantee that I'm going to be healed by establishing any certificate, understanding any knowledge in the world about anything, going through any trainings, anything like that. I'm automatically healed because of who I am. Because I'm the son of God, I'm the daughter of God, so I'm automatically healed by my inheritance with that Creator. So automatically, simply by that. Now that statement there, if you really look at it, it basically debunks everything that the world stands for. But that's what the Course in Miracles is about. It's about debunking everything, and about unlearning, about emptying your cup completely and saying, I don't know, show me. That's what it's about. I don't know, show me, God. Because everything that we've done up until this point, obviously you can look at, hasn't worked. Look at the world. It hasn't worked. No more sophisticated map to healing is going to work. It's all inside. And this last part in here, and I'm going to end with this, talks about that, about the results. It says, this course offers a very direct and very simple learning situation and provides a guide who tells you what to do. If you do it, you will see that it works. Its results are more convincing than its words. They will convince you that the words are true. By following the right guide, you will learn the simplest of all lessons. By their fruits ye shall know them, and they shall know themselves. So the fruits that it bears. If your practice is bearing peace and love in your life, consistently. If you ever heard of the thing now, it's called ghosting. It's like isolating someone that confronts you about a problem and making it, well, that's only your stuff. That's just you being sensitive. That's your own problem. That's your own unhealed mind. But anything that aggravates me, annoys me, makes me want to frown at someone, that's something to look at. If I'm feeling bored somewhere and I need to pick up my phone to feel myself entertained at all, that means a sign that I'm not healed there. I feel restless. I feel bored. Why do I need this phone to feel peace? Why do I need anything? Why can't I just sit down in this moment and identify with who I really am and feel the love of God right now? Isn't that more beautiful and more fun than being entertained by some external thing? Yes, absolutely. So that's what we need more of. We'll see what happens with it all. All I know about is me and my own healing. That's all I can say control, and even that I can't control. I can just ask for help in it. I can just let healing happen. I don't do the healing. So I'm just open. I'm a channel. I'm a conduit of it. And I love it.